Hello and welcome back to OmniFoot TV. This is your host Omar speaking. In today's video, or today's first video of the day in particular, is about the Lyon Ultras, Lyon's difficult start to the season, and primarily it's going to be a reaction video to what the fans had to say to their own players in the stadium after their 4-1 beating at PSG. Now look, I know it's a little late to even talk about this, but I've realized that no one else has. As far as my scope, as far as what I've seen online, people have either reposted the videos and gotten all sorts of exposure and engagement, allowing fans to just either argue with each other or agree with what they've seen. The reactions have been mixed. Now, I have this to say. Having a manager as successful as Laurent Blanc backfired. It seemed as though the administration was also dealing with other issues. I don't really know the details behind them, but they were apparently financial. But watching one of France's greatest sides succumb to being bottom of the league 4 games into the season and losing in such a way to PSG, people usually predict, right? They call it the Farmers League. I don't think the French league was ever a Farmers League until the oil money came in. But that's another story. Now, Lyon is my favorite team in France. So, full disclosure, I'm talking about this because I care about the side, but more so because of the reaction that the fans were strong enough to dish out. It's a very rare thing for you to see players standing in line, staring their ultras right where they could meet them visually, and listen to everything they had to say as soon as the transfer window shut. Bearing in mind that these players bear the responsibility of the club, that these fans contribute to the success. Because I saw a lot of people talk about how they think that the fans have no right to address the players in such a manner. If you think so, my friend, then you have no idea what football culture is. You do not understand the sport. You do not understand that this is an organization that thrives upon the supporters, upon the backs and necks of these supporters. If COVID wasn't an indicator of that, then nothing else will ever be. One thing that struck me was that the head of the Ultras was extremely confident in his delivery, and there was a particular sentence that resonated. Many a player has worn the Lyon shirt and honored it throughout the club's history. To hear that as a player and realize that that was intended to hurt each and every one of them must have been sobering to a degree. Bearing in mind that these players obviously earn a lot of money. A lot of them may not seem to care as much as the fans do, because let's be honest, these fans, born, bred, and raised to support these clubs, to support these establishments, to support the players, to support the idea that is Olympique Lyonnais. But we haven't seen something of this nature in a long time. I haven't seen something of this nature in a very long time. I remember the Milan Ultras did the same thing to Milan last season or the season before last, but it didn't have this much exposure, and it wasn't as widespread in terms of the reaction. It didn't get this much traction. So to see the Lyon fans throw everything they had at the players, see the president of the Ultras throw everything he himself had at these players. People objecting to it have small minds, in my opinion, because the fans hold you accountable, no matter what you do. Being told to sharpen up, to put your act together by the people who support the club is a healthy indicator that these people want to support you and want to see you succeed. Because football fans can be extremely difficult people. They'll either want to kill you or raise you up and deify you. There doesn't seem to be much of an in-between. But then you have this, where they know that the shirt is on the line, the club's history is on the line. Being bottom of the league is disastrous for Lyon. finishing below the top four in and of itself, or top three, is a disaster for the club, or has been a disaster, because I don't know if you guys are familiar with the club's history, but before PSG came along, Lyon were the ones winning French league titles back to back for 7+ years. And they did it organically. They built a team that intimidated everyone, even in Europe, by the way. Ligue 1 was always an ever present fixture on the European stage beyond PSG. Even in the Europa League, they would make very good impressions. The teams that would come through, make it to the Champions League, play their trade against much bigger opposition. I remember Bordeaux in 2009 as a child, watching how well they did. Lyon, obviously, being a prime example of that, having reached the semi-final of the same tournament that season. It's something worth noting that modern fans and modern players need to harden up a little. In that respect, only in that context. Again, I highlight, in the context of this particular event, these players have been they've been put in a position where they have to perform. It's different when you're booed off the pitch. It's different when you're cheered off the pitch, even if you didn't perform, which a lot of, not necessarily cheered, but applauded based on a good performance that didn't really give you the result you needed. But this is a whole other story. This is a level of passion for the game that the game currently is lacking a little. I'm proud to say that I consider this a legendary event. It's a breath of fresh air, and everyone should see it as such. And that's all I have to say. If you guys like this video, leave a like, hit the bell notifications button to be notified because we post videos on a daily basis here, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. I don't know what you're doing. Thank you once again for tuning in, and I will see you all next time the whistle blows.